Hey guys, welcome to the DC Digital Newsroom. We are live on Snapchat and on YouTube with you guys. Thanks so much for joining us today inside the newsroom here, guys. Another Monday. The day
Happy
before
Monday,
Halloween, October 30th, and we're here to bring you the live breaking news of the day. You were just probably looking at a quick bump shot that we had up. I just want to tell you guys what it is. This is a live look outside the U.S. District Court. Today, pretty much the big news, and we're going to be following the story, is that Paul Manafort, former campaign advisor for President Trump, has been indicted on felony charges. And he surrendered to the FBI this morning amid these ties and charges, again, where the indictment saying more than 75 million flowed through offshore accounts. So it has to do with some financial accounts on his part. It is pretty much separate from the presidential campaign right now, but they are investigating this. So the big news that he surrendered to the FBI. So that's what you're looking at there. We have our reporter, Tom Fitzgerald, on that story all day.
Great,
As he gets more, as we get more from him, if anything sort of happens, we'll flash over to this camera. Maybe we'll grab a snippet of something happening. Maybe he'll come out, Paul Manafort will come out of district court. We don't really know, but we're gonna start with some fun stuff because that's what we wanna do. Talk social media, talk a little Stranger Things, talk some Halloween, whatever is kind of new, I guess, this morning. And so if you were on with Mike earlier, we just had Mike Thomas do a nice little weather hit. Appreciate your comments on that. He has been doing that at 11 o'clock most days now to kind of just check in for winter weather and whatnot.
Speaking of winter weather, that snow in Maryland yesterday.
So yeah, that was a big, there were videos going out that people were reposting and reposting, and they were doing well, weren't they, for social?
They were doing well, and shout out to some viewers who actually sent in pictures also, because we're all dreaming of a white Halloween.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Is that where we're already at now?
I mean, if this is foretelling how the winter is going to be, I'm not prepared. Because we literally went from like beautiful 70s weather to 45. What is this?
I know. Well, fall is in full force for sure. They're saying it's going to be nice, but crisp, sunny tomorrow, and nice weather for Halloween trick-or-treating, which is cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And okay, I see some of you guys commenting on the stream. Thanks so much. Keep it up, guys. Don't forget to keep the live chat going. If you have any thoughts or questions or comments throughout, we'll try to chat with you about it. I want to talk a little more about, okay, so we have the politics aspect. There's a lot of stuff going on. Okay, so the White House press briefing is slated today for 1 o'clock. We should get that, and of course, coming on the heels and amid all of this controversy with the former campaign advisor, Paul Manafort. So we'll be watching that to see what kind of questions Sarah Sanders gets. Veronica Cleary will be at that press briefing. All right, switching gears. Let's talk first, Kevin Spacey.
Oh,
yes, there was an alleged Anthony Rapp actor came out on Twitter about having been sexually assaulted by Kevin Spacey about 30 years ago.
Wow.
Kevin Spacey turned it around and answered with a long tweet that basically apologized for what may have been a sexual advance that time ago, and then actually came out as gay on Twitter. Now, I don't think it was that much of a surprise. Yeah, I don't think it was that much of a surprise for a lot of people who are close in that circle, maybe know him well. He's been in DC a lot, in Capitol Hill for events. We know he films House of Cards around here, Baltimore area and DC. I don't think it was unknown, but it was the first time that he publicly sort of announced that he's gay, that he has had relationships with both men and women, he asserts in this tweet, and that if this did happen, he's saying, you know, obviously it's long ago, it's hard to remember, but he apologizes for it. So it's just kind of an interesting thing. Kevin Spacey is, I remember his birthday because we tweeted for his birthday about it.
Of course. And he's older. You also used to work.
I did some work with them as well.
Get to know Molly more.
I did a little work with Kevin Spacey. So I've sort of met him on some occasions, but it was never not aware to me sort of that. But now that it's coming out publicly, it's pretty interesting. Yeah. And you know, he's older now, so this is interesting that it's the first time that it's out there. And he is, you know, I've been following him on Twitter for a long time. He's a pretty active, I think, celeb tweeter. Like I said, he comes to DC often for Capitol Hill events, and he speaks about causes, and he's around and he's out there. So he's not super, super private, but this is something that he kind of kept closer to his chest and was a little more private with. So when this allegation now has come out, he answered it with this big tweet that I guess I could pull up to show you guys.
Yeah, let's see it.
But yeah, that's little bit in celeb news today, which is interesting.
I also find it interesting that celebrities turn to social media as an outlet to address situations. I mean, modern times, I feel.
Because they know they're going to reach, right? They know they're going to reach a lot of people.
Let's see how many followers he has. 4.93 million. So of course he's going to tweet this out. All right.
So this was the tweet, and it might be hard to read if you're on your phone, but we can bring it full screen. And so this is actor Kevin Spacey talking about this encounter. We won't have to read it all, but just saying that, you know, if this was an encounter, it would have been over 30 years ago. Sincerest apology for deeply inappropriate drunken behavior. It admits that it was drunken. And sorry for the feelings that he has described having carried.
Yeah.
And it's encouraged him, so this encouraged him to come out online as having had romantic relationships with men and women, but choosing to live as a gay man now.
Okay.
So it's interesting. I don't know if that's surprising to you, Raisa, or if you have any thoughts. I mean, we follow the celeb world quite closely.
We follow the celeb world. Not too heavily invested with Spacey, but I find it awesome that, number one, he is admitting to it and not like flocking away from it, but look, this is what I did, these were my mistakes, and I am completely sorry. And it's also an eye-opener, I feel, and is allowing him to now fully embrace the Kevin Spacey that he is. Yeah. And like we said, you know, it's not like it was like on the hush-hush, but it's out there now, and this is what it is, and this is who I am, and I'm so sorry. And that's what I really, really like about this. So,
yeah, really interesting.
Bravo, Kevin Spacey, for putting it out there. Thank you so much.
I agree. So that was kind of interesting, breaking overnight. Also, I mean, we've been following Halloween, right? And celebrities have been tweeting there. Okay, so it was Halloween weekend. Did you guys go out on Saturday or like for the party weekend?
Yeah, did you guys go out? Comment below. What were you?
Comment in the live chat. We, this was one of the first Halloween weekends that I didn't do anything really all out for costumes, although I wanted to, every year I want to. I will say, and this is totally a joke, but Kim Kardashian was Cher and Sonny Bono, and that's what I wanted to do. So get ready for next year, I might do that.
Okay.
Because I love that costume and the 70s vibe.
Such an iconic woman that Cher.
Yeah. Totally.
Beautiful, beautiful way that I feel Kim Kardashian just like embodied her and was like, hey, representation of you, and honoring you. And I loved it. And speaking of iconic women, Kim actually had multiple costumes this Halloween. She dressed up as the iconic Madonna in tandem with Kourtney Kardashian, who was Michael Jackson. And then she also did a version of Aaliyah, right? Yes, which she's getting a lot of heat for because I think it shows cultural and she's being culturally insensitive, and that's what some people are saying, right? That's what some people are saying. So she's getting a lot of backlash for that. But my question is, when somebody dresses up as Barbie and the skin tone isn't the same, you know, there should never be an issue there. It's Halloween. You're just embracing whatever it is that you want to be. Here, I feel like she was paying a tribute to the stars, and that's all it is. But I mean, social media has other thoughts. So no, that's always always is a question. I think during Halloween time, this always comes up, right? Absolutely. And every year, you have to be careful with what's going to be racially insensitive. Maybe not even racially insensitive, something else, sort of culturally, or it could be a lot of things. Religion. Absolutely. So, and it's interesting to see what people have picked. Did you do anything? Fine line. You didn't dress up? So I went to a friend's Halloween party, and guys, get ready. I was a basic bunny. You know, I just put on some bunny ears and put on a little bow tie, and that was a black outfit. I mean, this year, you know, I just didn't have enough time to. You better bring that in tomorrow so you can wear it in the newsroom. I'll totally wear that tomorrow. We'll have a nice little sneak peek inside the newsroom tomorrow to see who is dressed up and who in our newsroom is actually taking part in this tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have something. I'm not sure how all out will go, but we know our morning anchors are going to go all out because they have a very special live audience show at 10 a.m., which we can't give any details about. It's very hush-hush. Maybe Justin, one of our planning producers, will come over and give a little teaser, but there's really not a lot he can say because it's a very special Halloween show. But it is going to be super costumes, big time stuff. It's fun. I always love Halloween time. That also means we're gonna have a ton of candy in this newsroom, which is something I'm happy, and then I'm also like, oh no, I'm all like, everywhere. I know, like, don't do this. The holidays are coming up, please. We all want to look fabulous for our pictures. Right, it's coming up so fast. I was talking to Kyle today. I was like, our assistant news director. I was like, it's coming so fast. Thanksgiving is here before we know it. Candy is all over the newsroom. Food, holidays, the potlucks, all of it. We have a little Halloween gathering with our newsroom tomorrow, so that'll be fun upstairs. Really cool. Maybe we'll make something for it. We'll do a lot of stuff on Snapchat and Instagram. Oh yeah, so guys, we always push you guys to it. I forgot to even say it. Funnest things.
We do push you guys to it. Don't forget to follow us on Insta and Snap. We're Fox5DC, and we pretty much man it in the mornings. We try to get the coverage of. We'll get the coverage of the show tomorrow.
Absolutely. We'll be all over
some live Instas, some Snaps.
Yeah. So catch Molly off of YouTube into the
Insta world. Another little bit of news from, I guess, the tech world. Google got a little flack for their emoji of a cheeseburger. So you have the whole Google, like Android system, Apple system. Apple's cheeseburger always had the cheese above the meat.
As it should be.
Okay, really? Does it taste different?
I mean, you know, there are people with like OCD little things like that. And for me, yes.
And tech and graphics and people that do that stuff, that is intricate, and that's their passion, and that's what they do.
Absolutely.
So people came out about this on Twitter, and one of the CEOs of Google actually came out and was like, "We're gonna work on this first thing on Monday." Like, he legit responded. Yeah. They're gonna care about it, and I love
feeling
that.
some type of way on social media.
He responded. On Twitter, that's a base for getting people
back to Twitter,
to react,
back to putting out your comments, statements on social media. I mean, this is what it is now, which is great. I mean, I'm pretty sure how many retweets that got.
I know.
A ton.
I know, right?
So the world knows Google is working on this cheeseburger incident.
So
we'll call it.
Oh yeah, cheeseburger incident.
The cheeseburger.
Emojis are a big thing, right? Who doesn't add them in all of their snaps and texts and Instas now?
Sometimes
I mean, we do.
It's just so much easier to talk in emoji.
We talk in emoji.
We talk emoji. Maybe we should dress up as emojis tomorrow.
That's actually great. You know that the biggest costumes, even over the weekend, I'm curious what some of you guys saw if you were out. A lot of them were current memes. A lot of them were meme accounts. So some of the famous accounts, people dressed up as those accounts, which I think was taking it one step further, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And then other people were, of course, you got the classic dead celebrities, recently dead celebrities.
Yes, absolutely.
You got the other inside jokes, relevant news stories, emojis,
political
of course.
ones.
Anything political, we saw a ton of that.
I had a friend dress up as Miss GOP, and she was a pilgrim with a sash, which was interesting. She was between a pilgrim or a nun. We ended up she ended up going with a pilgrim, and like she was wearing a GOP sash, and she had a little crown. It was cute, and you know, if you get it, you get it.
I love it.
I'm pretty sure she got stopped the whole night.
So many political things, but let us know what you guys were in the comments. I really want to hear where you're watching from and what's up today. Obviously, you can see we're getting a little more lively. We have the newsroom kind of coming back to life as our meetings sort of disperse. They're getting ready, like I said, for the big Halloween show tomorrow. And we're on another Monday just in search of live video and stuff. And like I said, the big story today is political. It has to do with the indictment of Paul Manafort. And we're gonna hopefully have more from Tom Fitzgerald on that. He was in studio early doing some live hits for the morning show because this all broke, and he was called in early from yesterday. So,
and that just goes to show you how
quick
our reporters can get in-house. If there's something that breaks, they're quick on it.
An inside look, as to how this all works, because he really is one of our politicos and political aficionados here to give us the details on that. And so he was. Oh, cool. Schultze saying, can't wait to see your costumes. I'm going to be a Black Russian. Okay. Is that the drink, a Black Russian, I'm guessing? I don't really know. I hope. I don't know how intricate I will get for costume.
Yeah.
Because I need to put something together, and it's one of those things where it's like you have these grand ideas. And then 24 hours in advance, you're like, shoot, I got to put this together, or let me go to my costume bin underneath my bed that I've had for years that I have some good stuff in. So I'm going to kind of scour. I'm going to bring some stuff in.
There you go.
We'll see what we can do. I think you're going to do the same.
Yeah. Maybe
I wish I could go all out.
Instagram pic for
I'm telling you guys, I wanted to do Sunny and Cher. I'm going to recruit one of the photogs to be my Sunny, and if he will last second, I will do it.
Oh my gosh.
But I need her outfit. It's hard.
It's so hard.
Why do I do
you
this
get
to
like
myself?
all these fabulous ideas, but then when it comes to like putting the work to get it together, it's like, oh.
But Halloween is fun, and like they were saying on the morning show, it's it's an adult holiday now too. People are really going all out with cool little private costume shops and independent stores that are doing these cool things.
I mean, I feel like it's not just for little kids. It's for all us who are big kids. You know?
We have a lot of people in this newsroom with kids, so they're gonna have their kids go out. Some of them, I don't think all of them, but
shout out to the parents who coordinate with their babies and their children. I think family Halloween participation is the cutest. I was telling Molly, guys, I have a friend who's she's celebrating her baby's first Halloween.
Oh, I love this story.
Yes, he's 8. His name is Sebastian. So he's gonna dress up as Sebastian, the crab from Little Mermaid. She's gonna be Little Mermaid. Her husband's gonna be Eric, and then the dog is gonna be Flounder.
I love the family dress up, right? The unity.
So cute.
Oh, cool. Chelsea's saying it'd be a great share. Thank you. And he or she is gonna be the Black Russian with the drink with vodka, specifically specifying the one with vodka. I think it's funny to be an inanimate object, like a drink or something. I love the Disney thing because who didn't do that? Like as a kid or as a teen?
Of course.
And there are so many ones, I mean, that kind of fit who you are, right? I did a ton of like Pocahontas. I love Jasmine and Aladdin as a kid.
You're totally Jasmine.
I love Jasmine. I really want to do Jasmine, but you really have to do it right. You have to have the right costume. You have to have your partner to be Aladdin.
Absolutely.
And the magic carpet.
It takes, I feel like it takes planning.
Who does it?
Like when you execute it, it's like, oh, this is the finished product.
It takes planning, but it's fun. And I think people in here who like sort of the arts and the stage, we like to dress up. It's a fun kind of community type of thing. So tomorrow the show will be awesome. Yeah, I'm so excited. Super surprised. So what we'll do, because they're going to be live on TV, right, and you guys are digital viewers, we're going to do some live Instagrams.
Yes.
So we'll take some live footage. So make sure you follow us if you're an Instagram user on Fox 5 DC, and we'll be behind the scenes getting video of our actual show upstairs, which I said was going to have a live studio audience. So people are going to be up there. It's going to be really lively.
No morning show.
And you can watch it on there.
Does it like Good Day DC.
I know. I love when we get the live look because our digital viewers can grab it right in the moment.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
And I feel like the really cool thing about tomorrow is we never have a live audience, but for Halloween we like to go all out, and we have, I think, 30 people coming in, and guys, the studios aren't that big, but we're gonna make it work.
Yeah, you're right. They're not that big. It's gonna be crowded, so we're gonna have to kind of sneak in the back there.
Yeah, but it'll look fabulous. You guys are gonna have a good time watching all the behind the scenes footage that we're gonna bring you. So we got tomorrow down pat.
I love it. Oh no, what other social stories are you working on today, Risa? Because you come in and kind of glean over.
So other social stories, and if you guys have seen this video, it's. Grab your tissues, I'm telling you. Grab your tissues.
Which one is this?
So there is a nurse who is being praised for being an angel on earth. So a patient of hers who's terminally ill, and she actually passed away, she would sing to her every day, never too busy to sit by her bedside and just sing to her, because all she wanted to do was make her last few days on earth as peaceful as possible. So there's this video who has amassed millions of views and shares. We actually posted it on our Instagram. Yes, so it's on there, guys. But I'm telling you, grab a box of tissues, because it is so powerful to see this kind and dedicated nurse just give her all to a patient. And I mean, the family has completely praised this nurse for helping their mother, you know, just have a peaceful last few days on earth. And it's just, it's beautiful, it's powerful, and it just goes to show you this is the definition of a nurse. This is the definition of love. So
super cool.
Yeah, and so we've posted that on Instagram, so you guys can totally keep it on there.
You do a good job of sort of balancing those feel-good human interest stories with the newsy stories as well.
Yes,
because we have to kind of do both.
Well, that's not why we like it. I know, we love it. We love it.
No, but it's interesting because as we mentioned, if we do have something break that comes out today with this indictment and or anything else, as we have had this sort of really interesting, right, administration and sort of presidential cycle. We never, anything goes really in this sort of political cycle. We don't really know what's going to happen any day. So we've had some breaking news that have made some really interesting Instagram posts and Insta stories. And then of course there are the really nice feel-good stories that we share amongst our Fox stations.
Exactly.
And we post to our Instagram as well. So lots of digital kind of engagement on that one.
Absolutely. I think we've been flooded with comments basically praising this nurse, and nurses themselves just saying, you know, this is what we do and this is our job. So it's just nice to see people kind of comment what they feel, and nurses themselves just saying, you know, this is what we do too. So it's just nice. And to kick off on Monday, I think it's good.
Oh yeah, on Monday,
you know?
Kind of slipped my mind that it's for some reason. It's a weird weekend. It was really dreary and pretty rainy yesterday. Perfect day for Stranger Things. Who loves it? Who's obsessed with it? You know, Kevin McCarthy, our TV film guy, is obsessed with it. He got an advanced sort of copy of it 2 weeks in advance. Of the series, season 2 dropping on Friday night, or on Thursday night rather.
It dropped
it was late midnight.
And
obviously, if I didn't have other engagements, I would have like dug into it on that day. I'm a big fan of it. Amazing, interesting kind of thriller, sci-fi 80s set show on Netflix set in Indiana, and And anyway, I dug into it on the weekend, and so did you.
Yeah, I'm done, guys, because I'm.
Can you believe it? She binged it, but that's what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
And I didn't get to. Now I feel behind. I was like, I need to come into work knowing my stuff so I can have this discussion with her and with others. And I only got through one for various reasons. But if I can carve out the time, I'm going to get through a few more.
Yes.
And get into it. But perfect rainy night to watch it.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. One of my girlfriends is in Chicago this weekend, and she was like, "It's so sunny. The mood isn't right to watch this." I was like, "You can't binge it in that weather." But it was so perfect for us this weekend.
Oh yeah, because it was so dreary. And yesterday, I mean, you guys, have you seen it? Please
let us know.
Who's your favorite character? Are you loving these new people? I want to know who's into
this stuff, because I mean, TV and the arts and film and so many things really are my passions. But specifically, this show is really exciting that it's dropping right before Halloween weekend. It's set during. They actually have some Halloween moments.
Yes.
So it's scary and fun and interesting, and it's a really good throwback. Also for people I think like us with a throwback to the 80s, like I'm an 80s baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's cool to kind of see that. I love when it's almost like, I mean, it's not, because I know it's only like 30 years ago or whatever, but historical like drama fiction, right? Because it throws it back, not historical, but like recent history. And people who love that era, which I do, it's a really fun show to kind of get into.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know our senior web producer, Tim, is super into it. I wish if he wasn't busy in meetings, I know he'd come over here and comment on it. But who else is watching it? Let us know. That's going to be a big talker, I guess, for the next few weeks. You know, people are going to binge that.
And my 2 cents, guys, episode 6 is where it's at. Just like Kevin McCarthy said, episode 5 is the turning point of the whole season, and then 6 was, if I could define this season, let me just say it is action-packed. I feel like the other one definitely told the story and the development of Elle, and you know, just everybody kind of intertwining into things. And now this one is like, okay, we know the history, or we know the story of everyone, except with like a few new characters coming into play. But this one, I tell you guys, action-packed. Once episode 5 hits, it goes all uphill from there.
That's what you were saying. It's a kind of a turning point.
It's a turning point.
So cool.
And I'm not going to give it away, so I'm just saying turning point.
TV thing. I will say though, also working in television, right? We're passionate about news. We're passionate about the digital arts and the digital news, and so we're ingrained with and watch TV every day, and we like it. But because it's so inundating in our lives, I don't really carve out a lot of time to watch TV shows. So when I do, it means that much more. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's that much more important to me, or I know it's a priority when there's a certain show that I'm like, I'm going to actually reserve time. Whereas I know other people who are in different fields are kind of like, oh, I watch this, I watch that, do you watch this? And I'm so behind on some of the modern relevant TV because it's just my afterthought. Like I'll do sports for sure, and I'll do really, really good TV shows. But other than that, we're watching hours and hours of TV all day, which I love. And I love the news world, but it's very different, right, for a normal, for a civilian in another field. So they're all like, everyone's like all into it. So it's exciting to kind of be part, or to be excited about this particular series.
Yes, so it's a big one, guys.
Love it. Let us know.
What do you think? Have you gotten through it? Did you binge watch like me?
I know, right?
Such a nerd. I love it.
So we're just really starting off the show with some newsroom chatter today because there's not a ton of sources to throw at you today. A lot of our reporters are out on these stories. Like I mentioned, Tom Fitzgerald down at U.S. District Court waiting for Paul Manafort to possibly come out. We'll see if we can get that on camera. So we're going to throw it over to that bump shot soon. Other than that, just sort of following anything that's going to be breaking, we will possibly and hopefully have, coming up shortly in about 40 minutes, the White House press briefing, and that'll be interesting.
Veronica's covering this.
Yeah, I think Veronica will go as usual, and I chatted with her earlier this morning in the newsroom. So they're kind of everyone's kind of out doing their thing. But as much as we do have anybody in here, we'll kind of grab them for comment and keep you guys in the loop of what's breaking, and try to keep it interesting. You just never know what's going to come over our sources, right?
Gotta love news.
You never know. We hear these announcements and we're like, oh my gosh, this is a crazy, it could be anything. It could be a car chase in LA. It could be a celebrity lawyer type of engagement. It could be a crazy, God forbid, something, a fire or a shooting.
Oh yeah.
Breaking news, no matter what it is, we got it here for you guys through the duration of this afternoon show. So we're gonna kind of do some research, see what's going on. I'm gonna pop it over to that live look outside the court because we never know what's gonna happen. We might have some action, some people popping out. So stay on with us if you want, keep us minimized, keep us on the side. We'll pop in and out of the show as we have live sources for you. And don't forget to follow us on social because we got some cool pop-in stuff on our social media.
Instagram, Fox5DC,
Twitter.
You guys.
We'll be tweeting it out. Facebook. Tomorrow will be fun to do that kind of a tag team effort in the morning because we got a lot of awesome visuals tomorrow with the costumes. I love costumes.
Snap us your costumes
yeah,
too. We love getting snaps from our viewers. It's so much fun. We respond.
So always,
We love featuring pictures too. So if you're like an avid photographer, or if you have some amazing stories too that you'd like to share, send us a message on Instagram, Fox5DC.
Yeah, I'll put up my. Oops. Yeah. This is also mine, and then Raisa. This is my personal, and then my Twitter as well. But then Raisa, you also have one that you use for news as well.
Yeah, so it's districts and roads.
Okay.
So you can at me if you have cool stuff that you'd like to share with us. We're here. We live for it.
Definitely, guys. Hit us up in the chat. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll be in and out here today. Raisa is going to go back and do some. Oh, here's Justin. Let's have him come over.
Justin is
because I wanted to grab you for a quick one-liner on whatever you can say. Justin, planning producer, Justin Stewart. He's going to give us a little. What can you give us about tomorrow's show? Anything?
It's going to be epic.
It's going to be lit.
We just came out of a meeting.
Oh my God.
And, you know.
Top secret meeting.
It's top secret. We just came out of a top secret meeting and we're putting stuff together. Yeah.
Okay. It's coming along nicely.
Oh, yeah. Everything's cool. Costumes look great.
How long do you guys plan for this?
Yeah.
This is like a month.
Good. Yeah. Justin loves costuming and, you know, dance and theater and acting.
Theater.
He loves the performance. Theater.
Yeah.
He loves the performance, so him planning this is like gold.
Yeah. So our team is working very hard and diligently.
I mean, you can't say anything else.
To put everything together.
Right?
Final touches are going on today, and
1 hour show.
See us on TV tomorrow.
So from 10 to 11, we'll be up there snapping it up. Live audience. How many people did you end up getting?
Dressed up 30.
Wow, that's a packed in box.
That's a packed house, guys.
Because getting those people in there, it's gonna be a squeeze.
Yeah, which is not my job, thank God.
Will there be hors d'oeuvres?
Make
sure it goes off without a hitch.
There will be food. Hors d'oeuvres.
Snacks and candy, that's what I want.
Snacks and candy and stuff. We'll have all of that. So,
throwing out the Halloween candy.
Yeah. We're going to be doing that.
Heck yeah.
It'll be a good time.
It'll be a good time.
Are you dressing up?
I am going to wear my onesie that I got from Target.
You did?
It's a Care Bear onesie. That's all y'all getting out of me. That's all y'all getting out of me.
We're going to make sure we get them on some
Maybe
snaps.
I should bring some heels in my Care Bear.
Sure.
Be a sassy
Make it
Care Bear.
fun, yeah.
Yes, I'm not painting my face though. I just don't feel like doing that.
Oh, because what does the Care Bear, what would it have, the thing?
It just has the face.
Yeah, the Care Bear
I'm
face.
just going to wear some heels and my Care Bear outfit.
Okay.
And just be
I love it.
The onesies are good.
Queen Care Bear. Yes, the sassy Queen.
Queen Care Bear, producer Stewart.
Yes.
Thank you, Justin. Little teaser for tomorrow. All right, so we told you we get as much as we could out of it, but obviously they're keeping it hush hush. So
absolutely,
they got to keep it kind of quiet.
But all right, guys, thank you for having me.
Yeah, right. So thanks for opening it up till tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll talk more social. If anything pops or is breaking, we'll bring her over again. Thanks for staying on with us, guys. You can subscribe to our channel, by the way, on that red button. It says subscribe right below our faces here. And I know a lot of you are already part of our channel, so thanks for hanging out. Schulte and Electric Crystals, thanks for your comments. We're here. You guys are there. Keep commenting, and we'll hit you up in a second. We'll come back. All right, guys, live look outside the U.S. District Court for now, and then we'll be back in a little bit.
Bye.
Thanks, Rice.
He's in. How long ago? 45 seconds. Over. I know this. Oh, so you guys are.
Oh, no. I'm just changing battery. It's freaking sharp.
They have a hero one.
Nice Saints hat, brother.
Yeah.
Who that?
5-2, man. Browns they play against the Bears.
See that Ian Miller's no, you watch a game yesterday?
No, I didn't. That whole bounty. Yes. We need to bring back the bounty.
Oh, they're good. Their defense has not been the same.
It has.
I mean, they just when they put up a lot of points.
Yeah, I don't know how it's doing.
You guys.
He really is.
Yeah, he is. And he's a really good person. Really soft to the earth. In fact, no NFL team has done more for the community than the country.
That's correct. They believe in community contributions.
Y'all just go over there and get the stool?
Bruno, working for you?
So the hearing's at 1:30. Probably goes like a half hour. There you go. Pretty fast. They're just gonna like you breathe this.
Brad Pitt's on his way.
Well, I mean, we only confirmed it. Yeah. What I might do is cover the first hour. So I had this really good. Neighbors, no, it's part of it. Part of the cut. No, it's like, what's good?
Oh, he had a tumor. Oh, he just watched me.
So yeah, the book, and they just.
It's like London Road. For a few months, he would go into like this part and he'd be on the side, moving his claws, but he wasn't like making these noises.
How old?
He's young. He had a place that he can't do. Talking to Harold about it.
Of it?
Yeah. He lost his stuff anyway. Something happened really fast.
Living the dream. Come to the network, please. I did basically nothing in Vegas after
No, I am allergic to
That's what I do.
What about a bird? Maybe a parrot?
well, we have fish and we can't even keep it alive. I don't know whether we are good on
I think as far as pets, I think it's like, as far as magic fish, no, cats are the least.
I had cats before.
Yeah,
I mean,
leave a bunch of food out and be gone for a week.
but I just cannot.
Yeah, right. They're completely independent. Yeah. They do their own thing. They're not like cleaning. Like I gotta be.
Flew you up just for nothing today.
Yeah, like he's never meowed.
I take
so walking around in front of the desktop. I'm like, oh,
it's a national holiday.
Yeah, ran from back over there. It's to me, she's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
It's been. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, I don't know. Cats, they do some weird things. Once you get up on all fours of his paws, and they go sideways like this, and I'm like, what? I didn't see it. My wife always saw these things. I never saw them. They would do some weird stuff. Yeah, you never do anything. I was the one that I took care of his meds. I changed his litter box, gave him his food, I made sure everything was taken care of. And my wife was the one that she would sing to him, brush his fur, play with him. So I
What do you usually do for your cat?
Huh?
I saw, well, when I was in your house, I saw the dry food.
Oh, yeah.
What?
There's a rabbit. A dried up rabbit, like little pellet, like little hypoallergenic, if he had allergies, but we didn't know what. So we found something to eat. Yeah, or just not even eating it. In fact, we could go all day. I could be going all day. And he would eat a thing, and I would come home and give him like some wet food, and he would look at it and walk away. And it was fresh. I'm like, you haven't eaten all day. Oh, he was extremely picky.
I think what was it?
Yeah. Well, for him, the dry food was like fresh. He couldn't eat it. He would just inhale it.
I would say.
Yeah, wet food is traditionally cats like wet food because they're desert animals, inherent ones. So they use a lot of cats use fur wet food. What's so
Really shot through the glass, holding on to the stroke. There's something through the glass.
I was thinking about. Did you see him? Did you see him? Oh, I came right out. For like a second. I got the frame coming straight on. The door, the restaurant. He took the sun right. He was hiding. You would have. All right, well, I'm going to go. Jonathan. Another field. I got there. Thank you. Yeah, man. What way? I won't. Yeah, I'm not gonna. They do take this live every now and then. Dip it in and out of it. Huh? They dip it live. Oh, you're live? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. You're fine. You're good. Just just be aware that it's.
If you had Needles hat, I'd be like, you're all good.
Hey man, Drew and Keith are back there. Drew didn't have a stroke. Yeah, fast. Everybody. All right.
No one was actually sure who was doing it. It's just
No, I know.
Hello there.
Well, yeah, everyone saw it here, so I don't know what to do.
I know. I've never seen this. I hear you. Yo comprendo. Dude, mother-in-law rally or money. Big, my
and food is on its way. I'll come bring it.
Alright, so apparently this food is here, so I need these. Alright, that is hungry. Listen, I'm burning calories sitting on my butt. So.
No.
Oh yeah, because you're on the leg. Your camera don't You're nuts. Yeah, I got 5 legs. Try coordinate. I'm gonna put yours down to 1. You're sharp. Nah, put it to 1. Alright, fine. Oh, Wendy, my love. You know how to shoot? I'm alright.
He's gonna come out. Then he's gonna look crowded. You want to leave your bag with our
Yeah.
now happening. Good luck.
You think they see it? Yeah, I did.
Oh, I did see that. I was walking over there. I'm like, I bet I'm not doing it.
What is that?
Oh, well, I'm doing pretty good.
Oh, Andrew.
So you like walking all the way up the sidewalk. Yeah, thanks. You're gonna do that. The only way is looking for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just find 2 hot shots from awesome stuff.
The sign.
The car
Supposedly
had
Manafort in it.
Real. Huh? Oh, when you left?
Yeah.
The Durango. It's reminded me of
When did the dude come out? The Durango was parked right there. Yeah. And it just left.
I can't leave until you're out.
So nobody got it. I saw it coming in, it was just the driver. So he pulled in. Yeah. So he parked there for a minute and then, apparently,
Well, I think it was like somewhere in. No, I'm not. I don't know.
don't worry.
Yeah, no,
Oh, it seems like yellow pig. Well, they actually used to give out. They used to give out one from Colombia, so it was a little bit longer, and it had that really thick material. It was, that's the only reason you wanted to use this place.
Is that when you got that?
Yeah.
Did you get that already?
Yeah.
That's the White House.
Yeah.
only range I could have.
You know that story about the campaign plane? The campaign plane that she had the tequila in her hand, and the plane is taking off. We're going like 300 miles an hour, taking off. She was walking around in the aisle, and the stewardess goes, "Ma'am, you cannot be up right now. That is really dangerous." She just sits down in the aisle.
Usually I don't want to be that guy, but I'm raise a crop at
Are you going to just sit for 4 hours? Oh, I'm very warm.
Thank you. Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd it turn out?
Oh,
they're usable?
Yeah.
When I worked in California, we used to go in there a lot of courts.
TVs like I was
pretty sure
we
couldn't.
So that,
there would always
that
be like
instance
people
where you
they were anyway,
so were you like
trying to get you.
Yeah, because you were on the corner.
Yeah, so it was like, so they come out and be like, you can take a shot, but you know, your paper's going to pay me this and that. And I know it's fine. Do we want the, what does
My
it look
flash
like?
didn't go. It was all fucked up. It all worked. Whoa.
We're going to need to see that raw.
Go Georgia, man.
I'll be right back. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Hold on. College football teams that their wives and good college, terrible football. Indiana University, they're slightly getting better, but
It's very lenient.
But then again, ever since we've been together,
Friday at 5.
Last Friday?
Please don't grab my camera. Sir, oh, okay, let me stay up.
He's having it at his office. But do we know if we're expecting to go on in here? Muller?
I guess Rick Gates is on the second floor.
All right, well, you stay up and work.
The other guy, Rick Gates, is
he's on here too. Yeah. Cool. Where are we going tomorrow? You and me. Oh, now you don't know. I'm going to go around this.
Jonathan, where are you going? Jonathan!
I have Jimmy there. I'm going around the corner to
Not sure.
This have you not met Jimmy Hart?
Glad you paid attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so I told you. Yeah. Jim's done incredible work with Melissa's out west. He's here to talk about doing.
Talk tomorrow.
Some guys will do anything for a day rate.
I'm just curious what it's worth.
Yeah. You ever won? Oh, there you go. You ever won that Nikon? Really warm. It was a handout. It was a give out. It's in our gift bag. Oh, this year. This year or last year.
Oh, you mean the dinner?
Yeah.
No way.
Not this year.
Not this year.
Not this year.
This year or last year?
Maybe not.
Another Durango. The Durango with mud on the bottom. Make sure you find the one with mud on it. There's like 11 Durangos parked next to it. There you go. It's like they want a fucking fleet of them. Limo tints. We're all trying for a postage stamp photo.
I got here.
How you all doing?
Good. How are you?
checks out, and get it talking to.
Yeah, I got you. Right.
Now they're saying oh, they announced it
Are you fake? Surprise? What's up? What's up?
Go to your pocket. None of your pocket. Don't worry.
I mean, you're not. Yeah, I like
no, like I said, we gotta get something before
because the thing wasn't that so I just think that you know, it's interesting. Because they're so well hidden. So what I did was I got my brain back really big. So But because of that,
Hi guys, if you are just coming on with us or you've been on with us for the past hour or so, we are live in the DC Digital Newsroom and you have two shots right here. One outside the U.S. District Court, that's the stakeout where they're awaiting Paul Manafort to come out after this indictment from this morning. And then two, and this is pretty interestingly related, this is the daily White House press briefing on the right corner of your screen. This is going to be purportedly at 1 o'clock or so we'll see when they come up. But Ronica Cleary, our reporter, is there, and that is sure to be dominated by questions about this indictment from this morning. So we're going to leave this duo shot up for you and then take it full screen to jump right into the briefing when it begins, hopefully at 1 o'clock or possibly a little bit after. We'll see when they start today. So we're going to kind of watch and wait for that, and I'm going to be listening into it. Feel free to ask any questions or chat with us in the live chat, and thanks for joining us today on the stream. We got a couple political scenes here for you today, and if anything else breaks, we'll jump over to another source. All right, stay with us, guys. This is coming up shortly.
And then up the hill, right, which is money and slippery and everything else, and navigate that shit to get to where I'm going. And of course, while I'm doing it, I'm doing this, I'm thinking, even if you back up, that's really great. So now I really have to go watch that. Yeah. Because, you know, it's a big so that's what I got to watch back.
Okay. I'm here. Thank you. Absolutely. I got you. Yep. I went camping with Boys on this weekend. You guys have me on the road. Where were you right now? Frederick. It only rained. It sprinkled a couple times overnight in the morning when we broke down. It was actually warm in the evening. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, we had a cold. Yeah, we did all that. They built a lean-to. My son's an Arrow and like. Oh, nice. From 15. Yeah. Done. Yeah. What are we doing? Resetting the preset because. Let's go down. Yes. Yes, I can. I can hear you.
I know you really can't see that.
No choice. You're going to be on where you like it. There's there. Hold on a minute.
Here.
Hello. How are you?
You know, it's all out.
Or something. Trying to figure out what
Okay, no, I can't.
As you tell everybody,
No, I mean,
as a rubbing.
today.
Oh, I thought you meant.
I'm not talking. Well, that too. That too.
Did that last night.
Really?
It's not a good night. It's not a good night.
Oh, baby. No, that one. Were you staying?
Oh, and it. Steve. Steve's works, brother.
What is he writing?
Toy Story.
I'll show you.
Andy.
Trey, are you among the aisle people there? I'm not sure.
Okay, what's the distance?
Whether or not he's a member of the aisle.
This way, right? It's about me. It's on over here. Bounce.
Is that my foot?
Yeah. I always said you guys can.
How you doing? Oh, sorry.
Well, I think George Papadopoulos is obviously the person of the day here in Washington. This is somebody who really was on wasn't on anybody's radar screen heading into this morning. You get the sense from talking to sources in and around the White House that they were completely blindsided by this news. Yes, I think they did expect the Paul Manafort and Rick Gates indictments to come down, but I don't think anybody was really expecting to see this looks like treasure trove of information that was unearthed by the FBI and talking to George Papadopoulos and investigating his contacts with this so-called professor who was apparently in contact with the Russians. Wolf, I've talked to a number of sources this morning, and yes, while they do describe George Papadopoulos as not a significant player in the campaign, I talked to one source who said he was in contact a significant amount with certain officials inside the campaign. This was not an advisor, a foreign policy advisor, you should point out, for the Trump campaign. This was not somebody who would show up at the office at Trump Tower on a daily basis, I'm told by sources, but that he was in contact with officials via email. Why is that important? That's important because if you look at what the FBI has laid out in terms of its case against George Papadopoulos, there's a lot of discussion there about emails, meetings with a professor who was promising dirt on Hillary Clinton, courtesy of the Russians, and then that information was apparently relayed by George Papadopoulos to unnamed officials with the Trump campaign, who would respond back that they were very appreciative of George Papadopoulos' efforts. Now, we should point out there is a statement coming from an attorney from George Papadopoulos. We can put this up on screen to talk about this more. It says we'll have the opportunity to comment on George's involvement when called upon by the court at a later date. We look forward to presenting all the facts that led to the events that resulted in this charge. Wolf, and just to underline what I just said, Sarah Sanders, the White House press secretary, she is going to be coming out here at about 1:15. They pushed back the briefing somewhat, I suppose, to get their ducks in a row in terms of what they're going to say. But they've passed his prologue. I think what we're going to see from Sarah Sanders is sort of, repeating over and over again. I think by the end of the day, we'll have a montage of these responses over and over again, essentially saying the White House is referring you to the special counsel's office, or the White House is referring you to the president's team of attorneys. And I think we're going to hear that time and again throughout this briefing. But Wolf, when you talk to people in and around this White House, there is a sense of dread that winter is coming. We have been waiting months and months and months for some kind of big shoe to drop from the special counsel's office with respect to this Russia investigation. You saw all last week this White House trying mightily. We saw this at the podium of the White House briefing room on Friday when the Russia investigation was brought up by reporters. Sarah Sanders, the White House press secretary, would try to turn it around, flip the script, and say, well, what about Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Committee? Now you have sort of this open-ended question. What is the deal with George Papadopoulos? Who is he in contact? Who is this professor, this unnamed professor? Who is he in contact with in terms of the Russian government? And of course, who is George Papadopoulos responding back to with the situation with the Trump campaign? Well, I talked to a former national security official with the Trump campaign earlier today who said he was unaware that George Papadopoulos was doing all of this and that he was apparently going to great lengths to go around certain people inside the Trump campaign. But that is not to say that this was not appreciated. If the FBI has emails from campaign officials, remember emails was swept up in all of this, if they had emails from campaign officials saying, wow, this is great stuff, George, then obviously there's more to be told in terms of what this is laying out for the FBI in this investigation.
There's a John.
Oh, no, it's over. Oh, okay.
Well, I think you're seeing it push out obviously the president's Twitter account there, which is where we often get the instant reaction from him. And so, as this news was breaking, specifically about these indictments against Paul Manafort and Rick Gates, to people who were very familiar faces, to anybody on the campaign trail, the president tweeted twice. He said, "Sorry, but this is years ago, before Paul Manafort was part of the Trump campaign. But why aren't crooked Hillary and the Dems the focus?" Adding moments later, also, there is, all caps, no collusion. So let's do a couple of things here. Number one, this should not be a surprise to anybody who's watched the president react to events related to the Russia investigation and the special counsel probe in the past, given that he tries to frequently change the topic, turn the focus against his political opponents, in this case, Hillary Clinton. Number two, he talked about that this is years ago, before Paul Manafort was part of the Trump campaign. Paul Manafort joined the Trump campaign at the end of March in 2016. And let me read you a quote now from the indictment, which is from approximately 2006 through at least 2016. Manafort and Gates laundered the money, this is on the money laundering charge, through scores of United States and foreign corporations. What this says is that there will be questions that Sarah Huckabee Sanders will have to answer about this today here in the briefing room. Again, I imagine that what we've seen from the president is what she will be reflecting, right? This idea that the president is distancing himself from Paul Manafort and Rick Gates and potentially George Papadopoulos. That is a significant plea agreement. And that I expect we will hear the words Hillary Clinton and Democrats probably more than once in this briefing. Let me just talk about George Papadopoulos too, because that's a name that is likely far less familiar to people than Paul Manafort. Papadopoulos was a young foreign policy advisor. He worked for a very short period of time for Ben Carson's campaign, advising him there, shifted over to the Trump campaign, and in fact is in this picture here with Donald Trump from the end of March, a picture that was posted where else on Donald Trump's Twitter page, and you can see Papadopoulos in this shot sitting with now Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Why is Jeff Sessions in that shot? Let's take a trip down memory lane. Jeff Sessions led the National Security Advisory Board that Papadopoulos sat on. That was announced in early March. So think back to spring of 2016. One of the comments that I heard from a source today who knows Papadopoulos was, yeah, there was a dearth of foreign policy advisors at the time from the establishment, people who had a little bit more experience, because other candidates, remember there are a lot of Republicans, that snapped them all up already. People like Marco Rubio, people like Jeb Bush. So perhaps that is how the Trump team pulled on this sort of younger guy, this younger, what he called advisor, who talked a lot about energy projects, but seemed, yeah, absolutely. And listen, hey, age is no like requisite or prerequisite for a job, but experience, right? Yeah. And he talked about some of these projects he was working on. He said he was an energy consultant, but again, when you sort of look back at what he actually did, there was a question of just how much experience he had. This is, again, from a candidate who promised to hire the very best people. And so I think that there is plenty of fodder for a discussion here in the briefing room in what, 8 minutes from now? Yes. Yes. Sorry? With
Hey guys, if you are just joining our stream or you've been on with us, you're looking at two shots, one outside the U.S. District Court here in D.C. As they wait sort of the final word and possibly the exit of Paul Manafort, former campaign advisor for President Trump, indicted on felony charges this morning. And then we also have the White House press briefing set up. This should start any second now. It was slated for 1 p.m. and so we're sure to see Sarah Sanders be hounded with a lot of questions about this. So stay tuned with us for that. We're going to bring it full screen, bring up the volume for you, and keep it kind of flowing from there. So stay with us and keep the live chat going. If you guys have any questions or comments or other thoughts for me inside the newsroom, I'm here watching with you, and we'll this should be pretty interesting. So I'm going to bring up the volume and listen in with you, and then we'll go from there. So again, you're watching our Fox 5 live stream from inside our digital newsroom. Looks like some people are coming out of that room beside the podium there, and it should be starting shortly, hopefully any second now.
Check 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Audio test. 1 2. Focus. Anybody want to wait? We all good? All right. All right.
First question to bid bonds.
Over here, John. Okay, John Carl. TV3 is asking me to get on Mike and I in case they want to talk to you.
I'll hook up quickly. I'll be on mic.
Somebody from California sent a picture of the TV. I hate that.
Doesn't come back.
That's what we're afraid of.
You don't want me to.
Hey guys, so we're coming up on shortly on this White House press briefing, and we're expecting Sarah Sanders to come out very shortly and brief the press. And I think we also are expecting her to pretty much echo President Trump's tweet from this morning, which talked about how Paul Manafort was a part of his past sort of world. Formerly in his campaign, and this all came out obviously separate from that is what President Trump was tweeting and saying this morning. So I expect when she gets those questions, she'll be sort of echoing that whole sentiment, but we'll see where the questions go and how she answers those questions coming up very shortly in just a couple minutes when this all gets underway. And again, it looks like they're gearing up for it, so it should be hopefully in the next few minutes. We're going to be taking this live here on YouTube and also on our Facebook page if you're over there and want to join for some of the commentary. So expect this coming up, and thanks for staying on our stream, guys. This is the White House press briefing next.
This is the
Oh, yeah. If Benson saw the pictures, then yes.
What was that out there? For the workshop.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's not just to be around. Yeah, so 30th anniversary, Manafort. No, it's like 40. Something new. All about
It's humans.
I felt like it was this week.
Very society.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm taking her.
Oh, that was very
All the social media.
I know.
Hey Ryan.
No wonder.
Did you get break? Did they say camera code? If for some reason somebody says that, just take that elbow.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think that that's the problem.
Oh, yeah.
Tony just sent me a text. It is Friday,
Yeah, yeah.
That is actually.
Yeah.
It's Friday.
If we're time to wait.
Brand new case around it was up all Hey Ryan, shake that cable for a second of video. Shake it? Yeah, just you shake it. You shake it. Maybe it was a hit in the system. Yeah. All right, Ryan, you're good. Okay.
Was there some sort of John has the same pattern, or it's not the same colors?
We tried it.
Yeah, it's right. And then there's that one down there. I mean, it's gray.
It's America.
There's somebody in the row, in the whole front row, that like have a lot of color going on.
What are you talking about here? That's my purple. I've got some color, that's on my side.
Yeah, the socks are live. You clearly need to get the purple.
Oh, it's a purple.
No one has a word.
It's also red, white, and blue in Russian flag.
I just want to know whether it's Manafort got a hold on the
Did you see that? I sent this picture a couple weeks ago at the landscape, and that's in the Cubs. And Newport was in the skybox. Yeah. And I got a picture of it. Anybody needs that?
I think it's already there, like this. I mean, not that I've been there, but so I hear it.
Where were you here? I think they serve other things.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us here. This is Molly inside the DC Newsroom at Fox 5. We're waiting for Sarah Sanders to come out for the Daily White House press briefing. It should be starting soon. It was slated for 1 p.m., so a good 20-25 minutes late already, but we are watching along with you guys, so thanks for hanging on to our stream. Not a lot of sort of flipping around content today because we've been waiting for more details to come out on this indictment of Paul Manafort, the former campaign advisor, or a former campaign advisor for President Trump. Again, President Trump tweeting about how separate those things are, that this was before and this is now, and so we're likely to hear Sarah Sanders back that up, according to what the president has said this morning. So gearing up for lots of questions, of course, probably from the media today at this press briefing. It should go on as normal, and they'll be opening up for questions at the end. And we'll have this on our YouTube channel here for you, and then also on our Facebook page. So feel free to engage with us and let us know what you think if you have any thoughts about it. And thanks again for hanging on, because I know these things take some time and sometimes they don't come up as scheduled, but hopefully it is just a few moments away, live in the White House press briefing room. And you're looking at a live look inside our digital newsroom right behind me, our little station here in the front of the newsroom, and then all our desks and assignment desk behind me. So we're kind of manning this control center from here and taking you around to our live sources of the day. So we'll bring this back full screen, guys, and hopefully it gets started very shortly. And feel free to comment and let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, unless that's it.
I pulled this off 2 hours ago.
I'll have it. Yeah.
It was a voicemail.
It's up. He's the only one who can get out.
Yes. Let me just get back in.
Yeah.
Guys, right below my face here, a quick live look at what it looks like inside the briefing room. That's our reporter, Veronica Cleary's recent Instagram post showing the full house that it is for this press briefing that is just after the indictment of Paul Manafort, formerly campaign advisor for President Trump. So it looks like it's going to be totally a packed house, lots of questions asked. We'll see how long Sarah Sanders goes with this one. And when the briefing actually starts, we don't know. It's already a good 28 minutes late. Usually there is a little bit of a window of lateness for these, but it looks like that from that picture, sort of a live sort of panoramic of a pretty packed-in house. It looks like she's standing, Veronica's standing on the side, kind of taking this in. So you can see what it looks like inside. And then we're going to bring up the volume, of course, full screen for the actual briefing. So that's coming up next, guys. Thanks for staying on.
Created. It's ours. It's ours. Right.
She was also saying you can say it, well, you can say it right there.
Good afternoon. I'd like to start the briefing today by addressing a topic that I know all of you are preparing to ask me about, and that's tax reform. A couple of you got it. The initial House tax reform bill will be introduced on Wednesday by the Ways and Means Committee. This is the product of months of work and is now going through an open process in the House. The committee plans to mark up the bill next week, starting on Monday. The House is likely to consider the bill week of November 13th. In order to stay on pace, we want to see a House bill passed by Thanksgiving. This is a very aggressive timeline, but one that will help us get tax cuts this year so families and businesses can plan for 2018. We look forward to the details of the tax bill being released on Wednesday, but today I want to take a step back and explain what we're working to do using an anecdote we can all understand. This story has been floating around the internet for a while, and it's important to keep in mind that the numbers are not exact, and I'm also not encouraging any drinking. So file that away. It's mostly for my parents, but I think you'll enjoy it. Suppose that every day 10 people, for our purposes, we'll say reporters, go out for beer, and the bill for all 10 comes to $100. If these 10 reporters paid their tab every night the way we pay our taxes, it would go something like this. The first 4, the poorest, would pay nothing. The 5th would pay $1. The 6th would pay $3. The 7th would pay $7. The 8th would pay $12. The 9th would pay $18. The 10th, the richest, would pay $59. So that's what they decided to do. The 10 reporters drank in the bar every day and seemed quite happy with the arrangement until one day the bar owner threw them a curveball. Since you're all such good customers, he said, I'm going to reduce the cost of your daily beer by $20. Drinks for the 10 reporters would now cost just $80. The group still wanted to pay their bill the way we pay our taxes, so the first 4 were unaffected. They would still drink for free. But what about the other 6? How could they divide the $20 windfall so that everyone would get their fair share? These are the reporters after all, so they're concerned with fairness. They realize that $20 divided by 6 is $3.33. But if they subtracted that from everybody's share, then the 5th reporter and the 6th reporter, which would each end up being paid to drink beer. So the bar owner suggested that it would be fair to reduce each man's bill by a higher percentage the poorer he was. By doing that, he explained, they'd continue following the principle of the tax system they'd been using. So he proceeded to work out the amounts he suggested that each should pay now. And so the 5th reporter, like the first 4, now paid nothing. He got a 100% saving. The 6th now paid $2 instead of $3, a 33% saving. The 7th now paid $5 instead of $7, a 28% saving. The 8th now paid $9 instead of $12, a 25% saving. The 9th now paid $14 instead of $18, which was a 22% saving. And the 10th now paid $49 instead of $59, a 16% saving. So each of the 6 was better off than before, and the first 4 continued to drink for free. But once outside the bar, the reporters began to compare their savings. I only got $1 out of the $20 saving, declared the 6th reporter, and she pointed to the 10th reporter. He got 10. Yes, that's right, exclaimed the 5th reporter. I only saved $1 too. It's unfair that he received 10 times more benefit than me. That's true, shouted the 7th reporter. Why should he get $10 back when I only got 2? The wealthy gets all the breaks. Wait a minute, yelled the first 4 reporters in unison. We didn't get anything at all. This new tax system exploits the poor. The 9 reporters yelled at the 10th and made him feel bad. So the next night, the 10th man didn't show up for drinks, and the 9 sat down and had their beers without him. But when it came time to pay the bill, they discovered something important. They no longer had enough money between them all to even cover half of the bill. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how our tax system works. The people who already paid the highest taxes will naturally benefit from a tax reduction, but not the largest percent benefit. Taxing them too much, attack them, and they might start drinking overseas where the atmosphere is somewhat friendlier. This is a silly story, of course, but it illustrates some very important points. Our tax cuts and reforms will create a fairer system that works better for everyone. And it will make our country the friendliest in the world for American families trying to build a better life for themselves and their children, and for American companies seeking a competitive edge. And I'll be happy to get that story to everybody so that you can get those numbers later. Again, I know that that may be an oversimplification, but I think it paints a very good picture of the tax system. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Sarah, first I'd like to get the White House reaction to the indictments of Paul Manafort and Rick Gates and the plea agreement with George Papadopoulos. And specifically, I know we have heard a couple of tweets from the president. If you can help me understand, when he says, why aren't crooked Hillary and the Dems the focus, is the president saying that Special Counsel Mueller should really be investigating Hillary Clinton and the Democrats? And is he going to rule out once and for all firing Robert Mueller?
Look, I'll address the second question first. The president said last week, I believe it was last week, and I've said several times before, there's no intention or plan to make any changes in regards to special counsel. But look, today's announcement has nothing to do with the president, has nothing to do with the president's campaign or campaign activity. The real collusion scandal, as we've said several times before, has everything to do with the Clinton campaign, Fusion GPS, and Russia. There's clear evidence of the Clinton campaign colluding with Russian intelligence to spread disinformation and smear the president to influence the election. We've been saying from day one there's been no evidence of Trump-Russia collusion, and nothing in the indictment today changes that at all.
But the George Papadopoulos agreement is about the campaign. It is specifically about the campaign.
It has nothing to do with the activities of the campaign. It has to do with his failure to tell the truth. That doesn't have anything to do with the campaign or the campaign's activities.
But it is the clearest evidence yet of ties between the Trump campaign and Russian officials. So
again, there are no activities or official capacity in which the Trump campaign was engaged in any of these activities. Most of them took place well before the campaign ever even existed. John?
Sarah, can you just explain what George Papadopoulos' role with the campaign was?
It was extremely limited. It was a volunteer position. And again, no activity was ever done in an official capacity on behalf of the campaign in that regard.
What about the outreach that he was making to campaign officials to try to put together this
meeting? You mean
meeting?
that outreach that was repeatedly denied and pushed away and said we're not going to take any action on that?
Can you explain what happened with his outreach?
He reached out and nothing happened beyond that, which I think shows, one, his level of importance in the campaign, and two, shows what little role he had within coordinating anything officially for the campaign.
Sarah. Thanks a lot, Sarah. I wanted to ask about Mr. Mueller's investigation. The president at times has called it a hoax, and he's called it a witch hunt. You've used similar type of language before as it relates to his investigation. Last week you indicated, Sarah, that you believe that Mr. Mueller is wrapping up his investigation. And I've heard similar things coming from other senior administration officials. Do you still believe that Mr. Mueller is in the process of wrapping up his investigation?
We still expect this to conclude soon. Yes. Francesca?
Thank you, Sarah. Paul Manafort was high-ranking in the president's campaign at one time. I'd like to know what the president's relationship is with him now. Do they still talk? When was the last time they might have had contact?
As far as we can tell, we know that they haven't spoken in several months. The last known conversation was back all the way to February. And as far as anything beyond that, with Paul, I'm not sure of any other contact. I know that there was some initial contact after the president was sworn in with him at meetings here at the White House, but nothing directly with the president. Deborah?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. On March 31, according to the affidavit by Mr. Papadopoulos, he attended a foreign policy meeting. The president was there. He said that he talked about how that Russia wanted to talk to the president. What did the president think when he said he wanted to arrange a meeting between Trump and Putin? And how did other people in the campaign react to that?
I'm not sure that the president recalls specific details of the meeting. Again, it was a brief meeting that took place quite some time ago. It was the one time that group ever met. And beyond that, I really don't have anything to add. John, Gizzy?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. As you mentioned, Mr. Manafort, Mr. Gates were named in this for things not having anything to do with the campaign, but with alleged money laundering regarding other business. Now, under those circumstances, would the president consider or rule out pardoning either of them?
I haven't had any conversations with him about that. I think we should let the process play through before we start looking at those steps. And
Papadopoulos at this time was reporting to Jeff Sessions at the time, who was overseeing Trump's Foreign Policy Advisory Committee. What does this mean for Jeff Sessions?
Somebody on a volunteer committee, I'm not sure how that would impact the Attorney General directly.
Can you say, given what we have learned over the last few hours, can you say when the president was first aware that Russia was behind the hacking and was in the possession of emails, what they consider to be damaging emails about the Clinton campaign that they were trying to get to the Trump campaign? When was he first aware of that?
I'm not sure of the specific date of when that took place, so I'd have to look into back to Jeff.
Sarah, does the president regret having hired Paul Manafort to be his campaign manager? And is he and the rest of the White House concerned that this issue will distract from tax reform and the other domestic policy and foreign policy?
We're not worried about it distracting because it doesn't have anything to do with us, because this is something that is action that took place outside of the campaign or campaign activity.
And as far as whether he regrets having hired him to be a campaign manager?
I didn't ask him that question specifically.
Sarah, how can you describe Mr. Papadopoulos as having a limited role when there's a photograph of Mr. Papadopoulos sitting at a table with
The
then
president
candidate
has
Trump
thousands
at a
of
national
photographs with
security
millions of people, so.
He was also cited by then candidate Trump at a meeting with the Washington Post as to who his top foreign policy advisors are. That seems to fight against what you're saying. And also, how is it not collusion when George Papadopoulos is in contact with various people who are promising dirt on Hillary Clinton? A series of events that closely mirrors what occurred with the president's own son.
This individual was on
in pursuit of information that was damaging about the Clintons. How is all of that not collusion?
Look, this individual was the member of a volunteer advisory council that met one time over the course of a year, and he was part of a list that was read out in the Washington Post. I'd hardly call that some sort of regular advisor, or as you want to, push that he's like a senior member of the staff. He was not paid by the campaign. He was a volunteer on a council that met once.
Collusion activities, Sarah. He was pursuing information from the Russians.
Again, he was a volunteer. I think that's something you need to ask him. I'm not here to speak on behalf of the thousands of people that may have volunteered on the campaign.
Believe it or not, I have a question on this, but also on tax reform. The president has called on Congress to investigate Hillary Clinton. Is he confident that they will do that?
I think that's a question you have to ask Congress, but I think that there are enough reports and enough information out there that seems to suggest it might not be a bad idea.
Any congressional leaders of committees?
I don't know if he's had a member of Congress specifically tell him that they're planning.
My question about tax reform is where does the president stand on the idea of phasing in the corporate tax cut so it would reach 20%? Sometime around 2022.
I think the president's been clear that his priority is to make sure that that's where we start with the tax plan currently. I think, again, he's laid out what his principles are. As of right now, that hasn't changed, and don't anticipate that it will. Major?
Sir, just so we have the terminology straight, when you say George Papadopoulos had no official capacity, what do you mean by that?
I mean, he was a volunteer on the campaign and a volunteer member of an advisory council that met one time.
So these activities were entirely of his invention. No one asked him to do any of these things. Is that what you're telling the American public?
I'm telling you that he was a volunteer member of an advisory council that literally met one time.
What I ask is now there are two episodes in which people associated with the campaign at a rather high level, at least in one instance, and George Papadopoulos is a member of a foreign policy or military advisory committee, sought dirt on Hillary Clinton from people representing themselves as either linked to or associated with the Russian government. Is that just a coincidence?
The only interaction I'm aware of that deals with this individual was him reaching out and being repeatedly denied. So that's all I can tell you is he asked to do things, he was basically pushed back or not responded to in any way. So any actions that he took would have been on his own, and you'd have to ask him about those because I can't answer.
Later activities of the campaign to have that same kind of meeting at Trump Tower.
I'm sorry?
What explains the campaign's later involvement with those associated with the Russian government, or said they were, to get dirt on Hillary Clinton later in the campaign.
And we've
Are these
addressed that.
things
They
too-
took one
are they
meeting, nothing came of it. No, I don't believe so.
That does not indicate a pattern of trying to obtain that information from
A
that
pattern
government.
of getting information about your opponent. No, the big difference here is you have a meeting that took place versus millions of dollars being sent to create fake information to actually influence the election. You compare those two, those are apples and oranges. What the Clinton campaign did, what the DNC did, was actually exchange money. They took a meeting. Those are far different, and one is pretty common practice in any campaign to take a meeting. The other one is actually paying money for false information. That's a big deal and a big difference.
Thanks, Sarah. I have two questions for you, but first, if I could follow up on your comment there about the GPS dossier. This is an issue that many senior level administration officials have pointed to during these questions about the special counsel. Has the White House asked the Department of Justice to look into this issue?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can I follow up on Mueller? You've spoken with the president today?
Yes, I have.
Can you give us a little bit about his reaction to the news this morning? Obviously, news that swept the nation's capital. But how did the president respond to this news about two people who did work for his campaign? Was he disappointed that Paul Manafort received this news today that he was being charged on these 12 counts?
He responded the same way the rest of us in the White House have, and that's without a lot of reaction because it doesn't have anything to do with us.
Sarah, we are now talking about two of the most senior members of the campaign at a very pivotal time, through and including the RNC last year, who are now under federal indictment
For something they
very
did
serious crimes
outside
that
of the
admittedly
campaign.
They did not allegedly conduct during their work for the campaign. But doesn't it speak to the president's judgment that he would choose to have these two individuals in very high positions, having allegedly committed these crimes in the years leading up to their roles?
These were seasoned operatives, not you make it sound like they were regular offenders that have been in massive amounts of trouble. These were seasoned operatives that worked on a number of campaigns. Paul Manafort was brought in to lead the delegate process, which he did, and was dismissed not too long after that.
And the president has no regrets.
Again, I didn't ask him that question specifically. April.
What leads you to believe that the Mueller investigation will conclude soon? Do you also believe that there could be more indictments? And my third question on another subject, welfare reform. The president talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I've been trying to find out what is the focus, how do you plan to implement welfare reform?
We haven't made any specific announcements when it comes to welfare reform. Those are ongoing conversations, and we're looking at ways to improve the system, but nothing specific to roll out at this time. Sorry, what was the first part of your question?
The first one, what leads you to believe that this will conclude soon, the Mueller investigation? Have you been given a heads up? What?
Those are the indications that we have at this time. I can't go, any further than that.
Indications from who and where? Sarah, indications from where?
As I just said, I can't go any further.
And also, what about, you don't believe there'll be any more indictments at all?
That's a question you'd have to ask Robert Mueller.
You're saying that it's going to be concluded soon.
I still attend that we believe that it will be concluded soon, but beyond that, I don't have anything else to add on a specific time frame. Right here.
Sarah, in March, the president called March 2016, the president called George Papadopoulos an excellent guy. Does he still believe that Papadopoulos is an excellent guy?
Look, he was referring to the council. He was going through the list of names with the Washington Post, and nothing more than that, and complimentary of the people that were volunteering on behalf of the campaign.
Papadopoulos told me that a campaign supervisor told him, "I would encourage you to make the trip to Russia if feasible." How does that not constitute the campaign encouraging him to make contact with the
I'm not aware of that conversation, so I can't speak to that.
Sir, at the end of the day, is there any concern at all from this administration, again, trying to drill down on what was asked earlier, that two people who worked for the president are now under indictment? One has pleaded guilty, and he promised to hire only the best people. Is this an example of the best people to hire?
Look, again, this goes back to these were activities that took place outside of the scope of the campaign. I can't comment on anything they did.
But are these the best people to hire?
Look, the president hired Paul Manafort to handle the delegate process, which he did, and he was dismissed not too long after that.
Sir, last week the administration opposed a federal judge's decision that allowed an undocumented teen immigrant to have an abortion. Now that that case is over, it's been decided she's had that abortion. What is the White House reaction to that decision, and does it set a dangerous precedent going forward?
I can't comment on the specifics of that at this point.
Case at all? Did he comment on it?
I didn't speak directly with him about the case. Ronnie.
Sarah, thank you. I'd like to ask you about a different topic. Just breaking before the briefing, court banned the president from changing military policy on service by transgender people. What's the reaction from the White House and the plan moving forward with reference to this?
Obviously, this is something just announced. The Department of Justice has it. They're reviewing it, and I'd refer you them to any specific questions.
Congressman Gowdy this weekend had suggested that there should be an investigation into the leaks of the grand jury investigation or Robert Mueller's investigation. Do you think there should be an investigation? Are you all asking for an investigation?
We haven't asked for that investigation to take place.
An investigation?
I think that anytime there is leaking of sensitive information, it should be looked into, but beyond that, we don't have any comment. Kristen?
Sarah, thanks. Does the president in any way hold Jared Kushner responsible for hiring Paul Manafort? After all, he was an early supporter of bringing him on board.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And Sarah, to just follow up on the point of hiring the best people, the top people, he said, does this not at the very least raise questions about President Trump's vetting process and judgment when it comes to bringing on these people?
I don't believe so. I think I've answered that quite a few times today.
Two quick questions. Does the president, you said back in July that the president believed that the investigation for the special counsel should stay within the confines of Russian election meddling. Given what we've learned today, does the president believe Bob Mueller overstepped the boundaries of his investigation?
I haven't spoken with him specifically about that detail.
Okay, my second question, Sarah, would just be on the topic of regarding the plea agreement with George Papadopoulos. You've indicated that the president did not remember that March 31st meeting, the photograph, right?
No, I didn't say he didn't remember the meeting. I said he didn't remember those comments from
Did he remember anything about that meeting, his interactions with Papadopoulos, given that he's talked about his great memory?
I don't believe that he went into detail about the meeting itself. He remembers it taking place, but we didn't go into anything beyond that or any specifics.
And specifically did not remember the Russia comment? Did you remember Papadopoulos' presence? Did they have interaction?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you, Sarah. Gallup just came out with a poll giving 33% approval, 62% disapproval to the president. What's your reaction? Is the president aware of this? Any plans of changing anything?
Look, we're focused aggressively on pushing forward on a very bold agenda specific to tax reform, tax cuts. I think that the economy continuing to grow and strengthen is something that will certainly change those numbers. But at the same time, I think these are some of the same polls that also said this president would never be president, so I don't have a lot of confidence in them.
Sarah?
Take one last question.
Sarah, can you please clarify your answer to Mara? The stock market is moving downwards on this news that possibly the corporate rate could be phased in over several years. I wasn't sure if you were trying to make the point that the president would be for a phase-in or against a phase-in.
No, I said that the president laid out his principles and it doesn't include the phasing in, so we're still committed to that moving forward, but and I don't have any reason to believe we have changes on that front at this point.
So the red line of a 20% corporate
I'm
rate
not drawing a
tax
red line, I'm just saying those are the principles that we've laid out and we haven't adjusted or changed our principles since this process started. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good day.
Positions. Once again,
all right, guys, and we are back in the newsroom. If you were joining us here on YouTube or Facebook for the White House press briefing, that is done. Camera has now changed to outside the district court again, where we had this live shot previously. You can see this for where Paul Manafort is going to be arriving. And a lot of the charges and all the details are supposed to come out sort of in this hour. But that was supposed to be an early mark for it, so it may happen more into the afternoon. You can see media really lined up here to get all this, all the details and to see his arrival. So with that, we're gonna sort of leave you with this live shot, guys, as we are approaching 2 o'clock here Eastern time. But I want to thank you for joining us on the stream today. More details about this story have yet to come out, so we didn't have a ton to really bring you today besides these live cameras outside staking out the actual courthouse. And then we brought you the briefing. Glad to have been able to do that around the 1 o'clock hour. It was a little earlier today than usual. And I think Sarah Sanders sort of stated what I expected, pushing, or I guess separating sort of the relationship between Manafort and President Trump, as he was a former campaign advisor, and lots of questions regarding that. Of course, she opened it up with a little joke, saying that people were going to be asking her about something, and then she spun it right to tax reform. So kind of an interesting briefing there, and about the standard time, I think about a half hour in length for the question and answer. So if you were on with us, let us know your thoughts, what you thought about that. And like I said, Fitz Fox 5 DC, that's his Twitter handle. He'll be tweeting out more and having more on the story of the felony charges, the indictment of Paul Manafort, and then that story will be running on our evening news 5:36. And then I gotta switch it over and tease out really quick our Halloween show tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 11. So that's on our Good Day DC morning show, and I'll be up there with our social media editor as well, getting a lot of Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter as well for you guys to check in. So if you're a digital consumer and you're part of our show and you're maybe a subscriber here on the YouTube, check in with us also on Instagram. It's Fox5DC, that's our handle, and we'll be snapping it up and giving you some videos so you can see our live studio audience, some of the costumes for tomorrow. So definitely stay on with us there. And then we'll be bringing you another live show here on YouTube. So saying goodbye to this live look of our digital newsroom, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow at 11:30. Don't forget to tune in on our Instagram at 10 for a live look at the show upstairs. All right, guys, see you then.